Hello and welcome to the Salon Services podcast for hair and beauty professionals. In each episode, we're talking to industry experts about everything from future-proofing your business during the COVID pandemic through to working with celebrity clients. I'm your host, Lou Sherlock, and in this episode, I'm delighted to welcome hairdressing royalty Andrew Barton. Andrew's incredible career has spanned more than 3 decades, and he's won British Hairdresser of the Year, been named British Hair Icon, created his own line of award-winning hair products and works with celebrity clients around the world. He's now creative director at Headmasters and is joining us today to share the key things he's learnt over the years, from the best piece of advice he's ever been given to why it's important to give something back. He's also offering one listener the chance to spend a day with him and learn even more about what it takes to become an industry icon. Keep listening to find out more. So whether you're just starting out in the industry or have been working as a hairdresser for a while, this podcast is for you. And if you like what you hear, why not subscribe to our Salon Services podcast so you never miss an episode? It's totally free and packed full of advice for all you brilliant hair and beauty professionals. So, hi Andrew, thanks so much for joining us.
Nice to see you. Well, not see you, but hear you, Lou. It's a pleasure to join. How is everyone?
Brilliant, thank you. So you've achieved so much in your career, and we discussed, haven't we, Andrew, that we'd focus on 5 key things you've learned over the years, and hopefully sharing lots of brilliant advice for any professional hairdressers or any students just starting out in their careers. So I wonder if we can start with your first piece of advice about taking advantage of any opportunities you can. So obviously you started as an apprentice in Barnsley, you're now hairdressing royalty. So can you tell us about your journey?
Yeah, I mean, my journey started as an apprentice in a local village salon in Yorkshire, in Barnsley. And, I fell into hairdressing. It was not something that I necessarily wanted to do at school. Like a lot of hairdressers, I wasn't particularly that academic. But the one thing that I did excel at was design, art, aesthetics. So I was destined for art school, really. And the journey for me was I wanted to be a textile designer. And I fell into hairdressing just because I'm a working class lad from a working class village, and I just wanted my own income, and that's why I got a job in a hairdressing salon. So that's where it all started. Since then, it's taken me around the world, into royal palaces, into catwalk fashion shows, in celebrity homes, and of course owning my own salon as well. But what's always been at the foundation of it is that desire around design, aesthetics, how something looks. And I believe really that after 3 decades, I have become that fashion textile designer. I just work with a different material, and that material is hair.
So was there a moment in your career when you realised that you'd made it, that you were like where you'd, or beyond where you'd ever thought you'd get to?
I think anybody who is career driven and career focused is always setting themselves new challenges, new directions, new goals. So whether I've ever really felt that I've made it, I don't think I've had that feeling, but there's certainly been some highlight moments that have made me feel proud of what I've achieved. And, that's included being crowned British Hairdresser of the Year, being on national television, on lots of TV shows, as a hair expert, as a hairdresser. And also there's definitely something about having your own consumer hair care range on supermarket shelves around the world. Do you know what I mean? That's pretty exciting. So there has been some key moments, and certainly a lot of the charity work that I do gives me a lot of joy and a lot of enjoyment. And also the Able Scholarship Program that we launched 2 years ago in further education colleges. That's very much about me creating a legacy for the future of British hairdressing. And if I can use my renown and my experience in any way to support the industry, then that's really what my career is very much about today.
And you just mentioned then you a resident hairdresser on TV show 10
Yeah.
Years Younger. So can you tell us what that's like, what it's like working on the show, and also anyone who wants to get involved in working in TV?
Yeah, well, I mean, getting involved in TV is about often being in the right place at the right time. I assisted a lot of people that worked in fashion, media, and television. So that gave me a certain experience of what that world could look like. I'd been working on various TV shows when 10 Years Younger was first developed, and I was contacted to see if I wanted to be involved in the show. The wonderful thing is about the show, even now on repeat channel, and I watch it back, is that hair and hairdressing was so well represented because the women that went through this makeover transformation, although fashion and cosmetic surgery and dentistry and makeup were all aspects of the makeover, it was the hair that really made that massive transformation. And what I talk to my teams about at Headmasters, where I'm creative director, is that we have to remember that every single client that sits behind the chair in a salon is on this journey of transformation themselves. And I think sometimes we as hairdressers actually forget just how powerful hairdressing transformation is, because it not only makes somebody look better, but it makes them feel better about themselves. And, for me, 30 years later, still my happiest days are behind the chair in my salon, seeing my clients and making them happy.
That's amazing. And again, when you're seeing a client, have you got any advice for any hairdressers kind of to really make that whole appointment from the consultation through to sort of seeing them out the door, of just making them feel really special? Anything else they can add to their service, or how they talk to them?
Yeah, I think how they talk to them, that's a really good point. But it's also the key to how somebody talks well to somebody is to actually listen. So, asking the right questions to get information to be able to give advice to that client is an essential part of the client's journey. I think one of the things that I've learned to do over the years is to be very honest, almost quite direct with my clients so that I can fulfill their expectations of their experience with me.
Mm,
A haircut, a hair color is a great investment for someone. It's the item of clothing that she never takes off. And it has to work for her in many different occasions and a lifestyle. So I think, getting to know what that client's needs are, what her expectations are, what her desires are, and then being very
mm,
honest at giving advice is the key. But one of the challenges that I often find is that so few hairdressers actually are that willing to give advice, and they stop themselves from advising about what's going to be the best color, what's the best shampoo to use at home, what's the best brush to use at home, because they feel they're selling to somebody. And that's not right, because the client, when she visits a professional hairdresser, is absolutely desperate for information and advice.
absolutely. That's brilliant advice. And I wonder if we can move on to the second point in the things you've learned over the years, and that's that education is key. Now, you mentioned earlier your ABLE scholarship, so I wonder if you can tell us a bit more about that.
Able came about because, if I'm really honest and frank, I just got very tired with this constant debate that goes off in our industry that salon based training is better and at a higher quality than further education college based training. That's
Mm.
not necessarily true at all. And, there are some incredibly devoted and dedicated lecturers that work in further education. I saw an opportunity where further education and the salon business could be linked, bridged closer together with really just one ambition to make sure that when students qualify in a college environment, they are work ready, they are able and ready to perform and be well recruited, and also have high aspirations for their own careers. So, Able is a scholarship program that the college buys from me. They invest in that, and it runs alongside the traditional training qualification, but it's Andrew Barton's take on those traditional elements of the qualification. So it's how
Mm.
I would graduate a bob, how I would do a shampoo, how I'd do a roller set, how I'd do a highlight. So it's all my experience of how I deliver service and hairdressing to my clients. So the student at the end of the 2 years comes out with their traditional qualification, but they also then have the experience of the ABLE program and scholarship. So they have dual certification, with the whole objective of them being salon ready. So it's a brilliant program. And if colleges who are listening to this are interested, then please just get in contact with me. I'd love to share with more about the scholarship.
Amazing. So how long has it been running for?
We're just moving into our third year, and what was exciting at the launch is the flagship and launch college for Able is the very college in Barnsley where I also studied.
Oh
So it's
wow.
been really nice to take it home.
And what's the feedback been like from people who've completed the course?
Well, the feedback's been incredible. I mean, what the colleges have achieved out of it is they get CPD, continual professional development for their lecturers. They manage to attract more apprentices for their day release training at the college. And the students feel a lot more equipped and ready for the salon floor because of the experience that they've had.
Mm,
So it's very rewarding for everybody all round.
brilliant. And what about the importance of ongoing training as well when you've qualified? Is that something that professional hairdressers should always have in their minds, that they always should always be educating themselves?
I think any hairdresser will admit from time to time that they get into a rut,
Mm,
and they start seeing clients just through the same eyes and lacking some inspiration or creativity. So, ongoing education is absolutely powerful to helping somebody be successful and also for them to enjoy their work and live life balance. So education is key. At Hair Masters, we have just launched our fundamentals education program, which is our classic approach to how we cut, color, and customer excellence our clients.
hmm
And it's a great reminder of those key classics that are the foundation, the fundamentals of everything that we do in the
mm,
salon. So education ongoing is not just about creativity, it's also about retaining very high standards, refreshing those qualities and standards, and therefore feeling more inspired behind the chair.
yeah. Brilliant. Let's go on to your third piece of information that you've learnt over the years. Don't settle for okay. So, this was a piece of advice you were given in your career, that
Yeah,
okay as a standard wasn't okay. So, can you tell us a bit more about that?
yeah, it's really stuck with me all my career, and I learnt it as an apprentice. The woman that taught me in Yorkshire, just wouldn't accept okay as a standard when we were being trained. Um, when a client says hair is okay when you finished it,
Mm,
it absolutely means it's not.
yeah.
It means there's something wrong with it. It means that she's not going to tell her friends, colleagues, family about you or recommend you. There is something fundamentally wrong with her hair.
Mm,
Because if she's delighted with it, she doesn't say, it's okay. She says she's delighted.
Mm.
I love it. I can't wait to show my husband. I can't wait to see my friends. So okay as a standard means it's not okay, and that's really been a principal motivator in everything that I professionally do.
Mm.
So, at the end of this interview, I want to make sure that the viewers have enjoyed it, they've taken something away from it, and that they don't say, well, that was okay to listen
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
And, I want them to be a bit more empowered by the word
yeah. So
okay.
what standard do you follow? Do you have something in your head that you're always like, okay is not okay? So what is the level that you work at?
I think that's it in essence, really
Mm.
simplistically. If I know I've done something and I think to myself, well, that was okay, then I need to revisit it. I
Yeah.
need to change it because it's not right for me for something to be okay. And that could be me sat in the boardroom in a marketing meeting. It could be me on a photo shoot
Mm.
doing hair for a magazine. It could be me in the factory developing a new shampoo in my range. If I think it's okay, it means it's not.
Mm.
I have to change it.
Yeah. And I've also read an interview where you talked about the importance of a personal design ethic for a designer. So you can tell us
Mhm.
what yours is and why it's important to have that personal design ethic.
It really comes back to how I've developed a career as a designer.
Mm.
As I said earlier, I see hair as a material that we can change, form, shape, the quality of it, the condition of it, the color, the shape, etc. And I guess what I've learnt over the years is that there's one word that really conjures up my own signature style, and it's about beauty. I find it difficult to even say words like trendy and funky or edgy because it's just not me as a hairdresser. It's not the type of hair that I do. I'm a bit more. I prefer things that are a little bit more luxurious. So, if we were thinking about fabric, it would be beautiful silks and satins, sheer fabrics. And it's the same for me with the hair. It has to have this beauty aesthetic to it, this front cover type glamour.
Mm.
And ultimately, it's that thing of I want a woman when she looks at my hair designs to think I want to look like that. I
Mm.
want that hair. I want that hair. It's so full of shine and vitality and movement. That's kind of really all part of my signature. But I think, like any designer, it's hard to put that into definite words.
Mm.
But yeah, it's about beauty.
And if we can go on to your fourth piece of advice, it's about being consistent. So again, I read an interview where you talked about the business of being a brand, and obviously
Hmm.
your Andrew Barton brand is huge. So how can smaller businesses or mobiles develop their brand, and then how can they stick to it?
I think consistency is a big part of what we do in the salon, whether we're a freelance or a hairdresser or
Mm.
working in a tiny 1, 2, 3 chair salon or a 20 chair salons like we have at Headmasters. Clients really need a very consistent product. And we've developed a system of care which we call the 3 R's. And number one is to always recommend other service to the client. So
Mm.
she might think that she needs highlights, but through our advice, she may need balayage and highlights. So recommending service is absolutely key. Recommending retail to every single client
Mm.
consistency will help to grow a business. And that client is then guaranteed that consistency of receiving the advice they want.
Mm.
And then thirdly, the third heart is always consistently giving every single client the opportunity to rebook their appointment. And those 3 R's are really at the center point of my headmaster's business in Mayfair. It's how my whole team work. And, as a manager, I have to consistently keep echoing that message to them daily to make sure that it's always consistently delivered. And the other thing that consistency comes through from me as an employer and as a manager of people, I have to be the same all of the time. If I'm having a bad day, my team cannot see that. I could be stressed. I could have had a terrible meeting with the bank manager. Anything could have happened, but my team need me to be the same, consistent, Andrew, all the time, so they know what to expect. And what that gives them is security. It gives them happiness in the workplace, and it gives them the pride to deliver the consistent messages that I want them to deliver in the first place.
Yeah. And I suppose it's the same, that consistency with your clients as well. They can't see the stressed side, can they? They need to.
Absolutely.
You need to be consistent with them. Yeah.
I often think when a client walks into the salon, as soon as she walks in that front door, she sees me, she sees my team, and what we need to do is see her. She really comes with a lot of expectations, and we have to see beyond just turning up for an appointment. We have to see what it is that she needs. And again, that's about being the consistent professional. And any hairdresser listening to this knows that we have to be a comic, an actor, a mind reader, a psychologist, as well as doing great hairdressing. But all those things, if I'm not the actor comic every time I see her, it's not consistent. So she's not in a comfortable place.
In terms of your brand as well, you've got your hair care range as well. So again, can you just tell us a bit about that, about how that came about and how that is kind of developing over time?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting when you walk down a supermarket aisle and there's your brand on shelf. And I do have to stop myself from being in aisle and dusting and cleaning the shelf and making sure all the products are right. And if there's not any out, I ask them to go in the warehouse to bring it out. And I remember that when I first launched the range, I lost my mother sadly a few years ago, and she was my best friend. But I remember going to Barnsley and visiting for the weekend and opening the cupboard in the kitchen where the teacups were to make tea. And instead, it was full of Andrew Barton shampoo bottles.
Oh, that's lovely.
And she used to go to the store or to Asda and buy a product a day.
Did she? Oh, love
that. So that was my mum's pride and her consistency as well.
Yeah.
I'm involved in every aspect, from the packaging to the warehousing to the fragrance to testing to new product development. I'm so involved that in winter when it snows, I get really, really quite upset because it means that the lorries can't get out to distribute to the stores. Everybody else is excited on their sledges and making snowmen.
Snow day.
and all I can think about is that the lorries can't get out of the warehouse and down the motorway. But also what's really exciting about the brand, we celebrate our 13th year last year, which is quite big. And we're on a wonderful journey of internationalizing the brand. So we've just launched in South Africa. We launched in the Middle East at the end of the year, last year, just before COVID. And it's been a wonderful learning curve. I still stand behind the chair one day a week and do my clients. I still teach in the Hairmasters Academy. I turn up at photo shoots, but working with the product as well, I've had to learn other disciplines like working with
Mm.
buyers in supermarkets and dealing with distribution and warehousing issues and packaging issues. And yeah, it's exciting.
And actually, what you just mentioned there is quite key because you've had to learn all these new things that aren't, when you think about becoming a professional hairdresser, that's not what you necessarily think about. And again, I suppose that when you become your own boss, you have to learn about business, don't you? So was that quite a learning curve for you early on in your career?
It was, and sometimes I've been in areas or meetings and things, and I've not really understood what was being discussed or
Yeah.
the strategy, and I've had to learn as time's gone by.
Mm.
But part of that learning process is I've just realised that if I'm unsure about something, I have to ask a question. I'm not
Yeah.
stupid. So I just need to find out more, and then that usually leads to more and more information. So you self-educating. I've also learned that from a business perspective, some of the things that I least enjoy doing, I make a pact with myself every day that that's how my day starts. I do the things that I least enjoy doing first in the day. So I've got the things that I look forward to doing by the end of the day. And that really works.
That's a great tip. And then I wonder if we can go on to your final piece of advice about giving back. So you're an ambassador for the Little Princess Trust.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit more about the charity and why you got involved and what you do with them?
Little Princess Trust is an incredible charity. We've just celebrated giving our 10,000th wig away to a
Oh,
young
wow.
person who has lost their hair
Oh.
through usually cancer treatments.
Mm.
But the charity is also involved in donating money to scientific research. And it was started by Wendy when her daughter Hannah died of cancer. Hannah was a young girl under 10 and, lost all her hair. And really, at that horrific time in her life,
Mm.
all she wanted was her hair back and to be a little princess.
Mm.
So the charity started, and hair is donated from around the world to the charity. And that hair is then supplied by the Little Princess Trust to wig company that make the wigs that then donate to the young people who've lost their hair. So
Mm.
it's an incredible charity. I'm the hairdresser ambassador, and at Headmasters, we're the official salon supporter. And it's just amazing. I mean, there's obviously a direct link to us because it's about hair. And across
Mm.
our salon, each month we cut hundreds of people's hair for them that want to donate their hair to the
That's
charity.
amazing.
And I think charity is something that I'm getting a lot of enjoyment and reward from. Being able to use your name to create awareness for the work that these charities does is just incredible. So this
Mm.
week it's National Anti-Bullying Week. I was bullied at
Mm.
school, so I'm an ambassador for Kidscape, which is the
Oh,
UK's
wow. Okay.
leading anti-bullying charity. I'm also an ambassador for the Princess Trust, which, as the viewers, readers would know, that is all about kind of helping young people with enterprise. And I was adopted as a child, and without adoption, my life could have been very, very different. So I'm
Mm.
also a patron of the British Association of Adoption and Fostering.
Amazing. These are obviously really difficult times with COVID. Is there any other ways that hairdressers can support each other? Because with lockdowns and loss of income and not uncertainty about the
Yeah.
future, it's kind of a real time, isn't it, to give back to each other as well?
It really is a challenging time, two forced
Mm.
lockdowns, all the issues that we've got about our VAT not being reduced.
Mm.
I think organisations like the Hair and Barber Council and the NHFBF have done incredible things at supporting our industry. If listeners aren't connected to those two kind of key big bodies in our industry, then I recommend anybody to get involved with them because they really are our industry of voice and they're lobbying government to help support
Mm.
us for the future. What that future looks like for the hairdressing industry, I'm not joining any speculation. It's going to be challenging. We've got a big economic downturn ahead of us and a recession. But one of the things that we do know on a positive point is in times of recession, people do change their lifestyle and they may not do holidays or they might not do as much clothes shopping, fashion shopping. But one of the things that they do keep is their hair. And I think what lockdown has done for the general consumer is make them realize about that very special relationship with the hairdresser, not just about how the hairdresser transforms how they look, but how visiting the salon, visiting their hairdresser, or the hairdresser visiting them, in the case of freelance, is transformational in so many different ways. It's a way for a client to escape and pamper herself and take good care of herself. You know, we only have to read kind of the media footage just in terms of how the general public and consumer have really realized the effect of what their hairdresser and great hairdressing does for them. So there is some positives ahead.
And what are your hopes and plans for next year and beyond? Have you got anything else coming out in your range or anything else with Headmasters?
Yeah, I mean, there's always things happening at Headmasters. You know, we're nearly 60 salons and 1,000 staff. We are very focused on our apprentice training program for 2021. It's always about kind of re-engaging everybody with standards and how we do things the Headmaster's way. We have shot back in the summer our marketing campaign for next year, which I'm sure you guys will love to see. We've also got more education happening. And next year, 2021, our internal academy, where we've always trained our own people, is opening its doors for the first time ever to the industry at large. So if anybody would like to come on a course with me and the Headmasters creative team, we have got a number of courses running throughout next year at our London Academy.
Amazing. Well, that's been absolutely brilliant. I could keep you here all day, but I'm sure you've got lots more things to do. But I really appreciate that, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think this is going to be such a popular episode. So thank you very much. That's absolutely brilliant advice.
Fantastic. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And I'd like to kind of just throw something in at the end here.
Yeah.
And this wasn't planned or organised. But perhaps what we could do is set up a competition as well. And if one listener would like to win a day's observation with me at my London salon, I'd love to host them for the day.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, brilliant. That sounds amazing. Thank you. Take care. Thank you again. Okay, bye.
All right.
Thank you for listening to our Salon Services podcast with music by audionautics.com. If you'd like to enter the competition to win a day observing Andrew Barton, comment with the word Mayfair on our social post about Andrew's podcast. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and like the episode.